All right, welcome back. Now, the bus strike, which has left thousands of commuters across the country having to find alternative transport for the past 4 weeks, continues. Unions representing bus drivers and the employer organizations have agreed on the 9% salary increase for this year and 8% for the next year. However, the unions have refused to sign because employers are refusing to backdate the salary increase to the 1st of April. The employer's position is that the increase will only be effective from the day of the signing. We take this discussion further now with SATAWU spokesperson Zanele Sabela. Zanele, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having
Now,
me.
let's just talk about this one sticking out issue. Talk to us about what exactly is happening now, because we reported on Friday that it looks like the agreement has been reached, and now this.
Okay, we really thought so. On Thursday when we met, we also thought that, we would reach an agreement. So they gave us the 9% and the 8% that we were seeking. So we took it back to members. But then we did ask for the employers to please go speak to their principals, because we knew that the backdating of the increase would be a problem. We thought it would be just an easy check-in with the principals. So we took it to our members, who said, no, we accept the figures as they are, but we do want our backdated salary, which quite frankly they are used to. It's standard. It's usually done, and it was done for them last year. So we just thought it would be just, check in.
Yeah.
And then on Friday, we were supposed to have a press conference at 3 p.m. It was delayed by 2 hours because we were waiting for that telephone call from the employer saying, yes, go ahead and tell. So we were ready to sign. But our workers told us, no, they want their backdated increase. So that's why we couldn't sign.
Yeah, and I want to ask really, because I've been thinking about this, is there no general practice maybe in any sector when the strike is, or the agreement has been reached, that there should be that backdated payment?
That is the standard. There should be backdated payment.
So why the fuss around it?
I don't know what's happening with this particular set of employers. They should actually just, and we do need to go back to work. It has been quite long,
it has,
like you pointed out. And we thought maybe over the weekend we'd hear from them, but no, we're still waiting.
But what signals are you getting from your members? Are they really saying that? I know there's a meeting, of course, to take place later today, but what have you gathered from Thursday throughout the weekend?
They wanted, the majority, you see, that's the thing, majority wants that backdated increase, and that's the problem. And there are a few who don't mind. They would want to go to work now, but majority rules, and this is where we're sitting. So today, the unions will meet in the afternoon at 2 o'clock to decide on a way forward.
Let's just go back to your initial demands when the strike started about 4 to 5 weeks ago. Initially, you were demanding 9.5% this year and 9% the next. But you ended up, of course, as we said, agreeing on this 9% this year and 8% next year. Talk to us about how these numbers were arrived at. We do know that a lot of compromise has to happen.
Okay, so initially we were looking for 12%.
Yeah.
We eventually had to come down, and we came to that 9.5%. And then the employers also, just when we started, they were at 7%. And slowly, eventually they came to the mediator's proposal, which was something that had been suggested by the CCMA before we even went on strike. And if that's what they wanted, maybe they should have signaled it at that point in time, but they hadn't. So they came to that, but then when we took this to them, remember there was a point where the CCMA and the bargaining council actually came over, because on a particular, I think it was not last week, but the week before, on a Thursday where we met, and it looked like there was never going to be an agreement because of the way we engaged with the employers who have been giving us uphill, really, to think about it. And so on that Thursday, it looked like there was never going to be an agreement. So the CCMA and the bargaining council came up with a compromise agreement, which they said 8.75 for the first year and 8.5 for the next year. 8.25 for the next year. Yeah. And so that was rejected by members when we took it to them. And then we had to go back, and that's when we eventually arrived at the 9% and the 8%.
It certainly has been a very difficult journey for the workers themselves, of course, because that policy of no work, no pay applies in this regard. But for the commuters as well, they were very much inconvenienced financially. So some are even sitting with written warnings where they are at their workplaces. So are you hopeful that this afternoon something will happen better to end the strike?
We're working at it. I know that there was an engagement. I wasn't part of it, but there was a meeting at about 8 last night, some union leaders. And so today we are constantly, that's the thing. One of them actually complained that, you know, the employers, whenever we go to them with a proposal, they're not creative enough. They don't come back to us to say, no, we don't want this, but would you consider this? They just say no, or yes or no. And that makes it very difficult.
So they're negotiating in bad faith, basically.
They have been negotiating in bad faith.
Okay.
A particular thing that was very upsetting was when one of them actually claimed on national TV that bus drivers were paid 16,000 rands. And he tried to say like commuters on average are paid 4,000 rands. Thus trying to create a rift between people who come from the same community. And if you live in a community where there is a bus driver, you can just tell that, you know, he doesn't earn that much.
All right, Zanele, we have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming through. We'll wait and see what happens this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Zanele Sabela. She is a SATAWU spokesperson, of course, updating us. As she said, there's a meeting taking place with the unions this afternoon, so we'll await the outcomes of that particular meeting. All right, 22 minutes after 8 o'clock here on Morning Live. It's time now for your sports news. And Veya, suppose I should say, Gabo Yelo San.